Now then, welcome to the latest instalment of Red Army TV. Dave in the hot seat yet again. You found us still away on a beach. It's the longest break I've ever known. Got his feet up with a tequila in his hand. With me, John Brooks and Barry Thomas, two guys who big Borough fans. You've been with us before on the show. Yep. Fellas, welcome as we head into yet another international break. Do they do your head in as much as they do mine?
Really do my head in. International football for me is just a side event. Club football's for me, and we just seem to like get a head of steam up and then they pull the plug and it's international. So my only hope is the lads that are away on international duty come back fit.
I mean, that is the only interest in international duty, isn't it, mate? Because I've come across people who support England more than they do their club.
Oh. Yeah, I must admit, I watch the international stuff, and I'm an Englishman through and through, but yeah, it breaks the season, it makes it stop-starty, and then you find that you go into 3 games in 8 days and things like that. It compacts the season, and to me, the games aren't qualifiers, they're not important. Do we really need to interrupt our domestic season, which a lot of people say we play too many games anyway, and they're just having silly games.
Do we want to interrupt the Borough for Wayne Rooney pulling on an England shirt for the final time?
No,
I asked
desperately not.
Let's talk Borough, fellas. Wigan we come off the back of. Thankfully, going into an international break on a bit of a high, it was a pretty comfortable 2-0 win, wasn't it?
It was excellent. It was nice to see a couple of goals, and I was so pleased for Jordan Hugill as well, because he's had his brickbats. For me, he puts the hard yards in. He runs about like David Nugent, can I say. People don't recognise that. They just think he's not scoring. The lad's under a lot of pressure. You could see that was pressure, and Stuart Downing let him have the penalty. He took it with aplomb, and then the second goal he scored was brilliant. So I was chuffed a bit for him, and that can only give him a G up for the rest of the season.
We are in the Dickens, of course, and I've been practising an Ali Brownlee-esque line all week ready for this, which is Hugill, of course, the ex-barman from the Dickens, has been pretty stellar, hasn't he, this weekend? I told you it was Brownlee-esque.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. As long as we get a palm with
What do you make of the 2 goals in his performance?
I think he needed it. I think we all knew he needed it. Strikers are judged on goals, but they tend to... They're a bit like buses, aren't they? You wait for ages and then 2 came along in 5 or 6 minutes. Hopefully that's kick-started him, and he's away and he's there, and now we'll judge him for what he is. He hasn't got this monkey on his back that he hasn't been scoring goals. He's got 2 to his name, and just hope he continues it. And you can see he's through and through. He's a Borough lad. He's one of our own, to use another phrase that we all use. And I just want him to do well for the club. And it's a position where we need someone to do well as well.
We'll talk a bit more about Hugill, because we've been struggling all season with strikers, haven't we? That's been our Achilles heel when you look at the amount of goals, or the lack of goals, that we ain't scoring. So it's good news that somebody's now come to the fore. But tell you what, let's get the views of the Borough boss, Tony Pulis, immediately after the Wigan game. This is what he had to say about 2-goal hero Hugill.
I think what's missed there, what people have missed, is that, and I said at the press conference on Friday, the lad went from Preston to West Ham, was never involved in any football at all, I don't think, in the Premiership. And then pre-season he got an injury, so he hasn't done nothing for nearly 6 months. And he came here really cold. His fitness levels were nowhere near what the rest of the group was. He's worked really hard, and the last few games we've seen some good signs.
Stellar, Tony, stellar. But it is good to see a lad coming through, and Pulis has got a point there, hasn't he? When he went out on loan, he got very little football. When he started his last pre-season, he got injured, so it's robbed him of any build-up, of any fitness. So he thought it was a bit unfair to be dropping him into the games and him trying to build his fitness during the play. Are we now seeing what he can do?
Well, hopefully. I think the lad works hard, his work rate's good, so obviously he needs the fitness to keep that up, because when you're a lone front runner, you have to put the hard yards in. And, if you're up there running on your own and you're not fit, you'll soon be blown. And I think at the end of the day, the lad's now picking up that fitness, it's giving him that confidence, and the players have got confidence in him, which is great. So I think of our choice of forwards, he's our best forward at the minute, without doubt.
What do you make of the finish to the second? He was pretty comfortable and confident, wasn't he?
I mean, he had time, he controlled it, he didn't snap at it, and two keepers wouldn't have saved it, to be fair with them.
No, it was a cracking goal.
Yeah. Answer longer term? I mean, all right, we're all waiting for it. We're all waiting for that solution to our striking problem. But do you reckon he could be the answer longer term?
Right, okay, I think he's part of the answer. I think we need somebody alongside him. Because Jordan Hugill, yeah, he can hold the ball up, but it's like anything. It's very difficult playing that lone runner. He's a guy who can knock a ball on, he can hold it up for somebody else. So I would like to see somebody alongside him. I'd even give Sombalonga a run with him. But obviously that's my view.
But that means two strikers.
Exactly. So it's difficult. But we have to adapt the way Pulis plays, and hopefully that lad's showed what he can do.
There's a mate of mine who lives in, he used to live in Thailand, he's out in Vietnam or somewhere now, called Steve Darby. I'll give him a mention, but he's a football manager and he talks about, he loves to play up front with twin strikers. Are we going to see it?
I don't, to be honest, I totally agree with John. I'd love to see two up front. I think we see better from Zombalomba if we did play two, because I think he needs to play off a big man. Whether Hugill's the answer, I think at the moment he's probably, if we're going to play one, he's the best we've got at the club. Now he's got a couple of goals. The argument a fortnight ago would have been, yeah, he does all the work, but he doesn't get goals. Now he's off the mark, and if he can keep going, he's probably the best we've got at the club at the moment to play the style that we are playing. But again, as I said earlier, I agree with John. I prefer to see two up there.
Yeah, give us your thoughts on Hugill. Is he your answer, or is it just a flash in the pan, the two goals? We've got one coming in here, Michael Dumbrell. If he continues to improve and we want to keep him, is there an agreement written into the loan deal? I don't know, I haven't seen the contract, but you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
You would have thought so. You'd want to tie him up, the lad. So, no. Fingers crossed.
I'm sure he's keen to come home and play football.
Yes, of course. Yeah. He's a Middlesbrough lad, so no, he wouldn't want to
go. We're all the same. The fallout from the game continued during the week on social media. Braithwaite. I don't know who's written it. I haven't even bothered looking at the name who's written it, but somebody having a go at Braithwaite, basically questioning his commitment to the team. Braithwaite came back, basically said, when I pull a shirt on, no matter who I'm playing for, when I get out the pitch, I'll spill blood. I'll die for the team to get 3 points. What do you make of all this? Right, wrong, keyboard warrior, what?
Wrong. Keyboard warriors, you know, that's the best place for them, unfortunately. We, as football fans, see that lad go out. He's a flair player, in all honesty. I don't think he's playing in the right position. He's got skill, he'll take players on, he's got something that we need to exploit. And that lad sort of swallowed a big pill at the end of the day. You know, he was saying he wanted a transfer, came back, and he's done it. So I can't think of anything worse than hitting the lad, because he's good. He's a quality player, he's got good feet, and he's got pace. And we need that in the side.
Absolutely electric at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he does play in bursts, and when he does play, he's head and shoulders above. But I don't want to defend the guy who's made the accusations, because when you actually look at it, he's one person in what's our average crowd, 25,000. So the percentage actually turning on him is very, very low. But I can see why he levels it a little bit, because he does come out of games, he does fade a little bit, and you know, I think the one thing about a Middlesbrough fan, we want 100%, we want passion, we want that fight all day long, and if you give that, they're loved. It's as simple as that. And Braithwaite, maybe it's just his style of play. I was talking earlier to one of your staff, and I must admit, I'm long in the tooth now. When I saw a player called Hani Otto, a Dutchman, and to be fair, he could win you the game, but he's often only used to play for 20 minutes of the 90. But he was absolute quality in the 20 that he played, and he does remind me a little bit of him. But I don't know whether you can get away with that style now when people are looking at the ways pay and work rate and all these stats are thrown at you, how many times you've touched the ball, how many miles you've ran, and this, that and the other. Maybe that's coming into it a little bit, and maybe he was a little bit of a keyboard warrior. But, you know, if at the end of the day he becomes part of a promotion team, he'll go down as a legend, won't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Quick question I want you to think about, because we're going to go into a break shortly, but I was asked, because we do some stuff here on Red Army for Sky from a fan's perspective, and they were asking who's your player of the season so far. So, initial thoughts off the top of your head before we go into the break?
I always like Ayala, in all honesty. I think when he's in there, he adds a strength at the back, and he gives us an option up front as well, and gives his all. I know we've had a few daft sendings off and things, but the lad's strong. That's my initial. Obviously, he's been out, but he's always strength when he comes in there.
Initial thoughts. We'll chew more about it shortly.
I've got to go back to, like I said earlier, about this 100%, and you know what you're getting, and gives it all. And Adam Clayton comes into that category. You know, he just goes out and he's involved in the game from the first minute to the 90th minute. And he usually takes one for the team, gets a book in a game. But I just like that style of play as a Borough fan.
Well, think more about it, because we're going to chew the cud in the second half. We'll also talk about the international break as well, but we'll take a short break. We'll be back shortly here on Red Army. Now then, welcome back to part two. We are chewing all things Borough, chewing the cud on all things Borough. A couple of comments coming in on that question of who's the player of the season so far. Mike's been on player of the season so far. Most improved is Howson, big Johnny Howson. He used to be all right, and now he's still all right. Can't say the real words on telly, can we? Stu Wallace, Randolph, player of the year for me. He is Mr. Consistent. Hey, that's a good shout. And Neil Diebold tells us about everybody having all sorts of opinions, and then says Darren Randolph, his player of the season, although Ayala's in there as well. I actually went Stewie Downing, to be true. I just said he's put in some decent shifts at 34, but hey, that could change before the season's out. Right, tell you what we'll do, we'll chew the cud more on this very shortly, but let's catch up on social media land, and Matt's here with the details. Over to you, Matt.
Cheers, Dave. Right, let's start off with Mike Loudon. He said, well, that was a win, but was poor. I think we'll have to give the ref big credit, because if it wasn't for him, it would have been probably 0-0. Mark Handley said, almost 2 years after moaning about De Roon, he scored that goal against City. Hugill does the same. After me being less than kind recently, you're welcome, Borough. On an unrelated side note, thought Flint would have scored a few more, and Rudy isn't offering much from the bench. Size Insights, he stated to Mr. Tony Pulis and every other manager who desires more players to progress, don't worry about the resources you don't have, focus instead on about what you do have and what you can build with that, then take it from there. And Ben Gardner, he stated at Jordan Hugill provided the performance and goals we've been desperately missing. Great composure for both goals, well done. If you keep your social media comments coming into us here at Borough Red Army, and just one last note, congratulations to avid Borough fan and actor Neil Granger. His wife Zoe gave birth to a gorgeous baby boy Finley the other day. So big congratulations to you guys from everybody here at Red Army TV. Back to you, Dave.
Our congratulations as well go out as well to the fam, but particularly to Dad, because we're often overlooked, aren't we, in these situations. You know, Mum does all the work, youngsters the new arrival. What about Dads? Congratulations, all three. Fellas, back to player of the year so far. Braithwaite's been mentioned, Howson's been mentioned, Randolph's been mentioned, Ayala's been mentioned. I did plump for Stewie Downing, just for the simple fact he's 34, and I know a bit of hit and miss, but who hasn't been so far this season? But he's still putting shifts in. Any thoughts?
Well,
He's quality, isn't he?
he is.
You know, and that chance, so you don't get them caps for England if you're not. And I don't know, I think sometimes he's took a lot of unjust criticism. I just think that, you know, he's the one person that can sometimes turn a game with that, you know, a little bit of spark, a really excellent cross. And let's face it, we gear for excellent crosses at the Borough at the moment. You know, we rely on them. If we don't get them, we don't get goals.
Yeah.
I think the other thing as well, you know, with his age, he's still got pace as well. He's still a fast lad, and a lot of people forget that. He's got a great cross on him. You know, he had England caps. He took a lot of brickbats from a lot of people, you know, under the Karanka years. But at the end of the day, the lad's still here. He does his best, and I think, you know, it's a good shout. No,
Yeah. Well, so I don't want to change your opinions, fellas. You've all got your own, but there you go. Stu Gawley, let's have a look. Stu Gawley, he's talking about Braithwaite here. Stu says, watched him play lots in France. Needs a free role. Reminds me of a Giggs type of player. So there we go, fellas. It is international week, international break. Do you hate them as much as I do?
I hate them.
Yeah.
Vengeance. Yeah. I don't even watch the games, in all honesty. I'd rather take the dog for a walk than watch England.
I haven't got a dog, but I'd rather take it for a walk as well.
I'll lend you it, yeah.
The players might be hating international breaks because those who aren't featuring for their country have been taken to RAF Leeming, Barry. Yeah. It's a Tony Pulis special.
Oh, yes.
They were complaining about Austria, weren't they, in pre-season, saying how hard it was.
But, you know, fair game. He's the manager. He makes the decisions. And, you know, I think one thing you can say about the Borough this season, it's probably the fittest Borough team I've ever seen. You know, and how many games do we used to lose in the last 5 and 10 minutes? And you used to think that the stamina wasn't there. They've got no excuses at all this year, have they? He started out that way, and that just seems to be his style, and unfortunately, he's the gaffer.
I was at Millwall for the first game of the season, and we were pathetic for 80-odd minutes, I've got to be honest, but we looked bloody fit.
Yeah.
Is it a massive advantage over those around you?
Well, I think it is, because in the Championship, there's a lot of running, there's a lot of hard yards, and I think the fitter you are, the better the team. You know, I've just got this impression of, you know, the film Full Metal Jacket. I can imagine Pulis there with his hat on, you know, having all that, come on, doing it, chancing up and down.
Hopefully it's not left, right, left, it's more left, right, left, right, left, right. Get them working.
Thing is, you listen to any manager on this league, and they all say the same. If we're not on our game, if we're not 100%, we will get beat. And that's proven in this league. Anyone can beat anyone. So, you know, you've got to have that level of fitness. If you haven't got that, teams will turn you over.
We'll talk in a sec about exactly that, how it's anybody's league at the moment. It's so many people, so many teams are blowing so many opportunities. We must have had about 6 different teams now who've headed the Championship so far, and we're only just a third of the way through the season. But first, let's talk Fly Me to the Moon, because it's the 30th anniversary. Can you believe Fly Me to the Moon is 30 years old this week? Amazing. So what we did was we decided to catch up with his editorness, his editorship, whatever you want to call him. He is Rob Nichol from Fly Me to the Moon, and this is what he had to say.
When we started it, basically it was people handwriting letters after a match, putting a stamp on it, posting it, and you had to wait a few days, and then you had to type everything out on a typewriter because we didn't have any computers. So it's been from the very start a labour of love, but just brilliant to be involved in something that represents fans and gives supporters a mouthpiece before, obviously long before Red Army TV or anywhere else that people could like rent the spleen, apart from once a week in a sports gazette. So, but not just a mouthpiece, but an opportunity for there's been various people that have gone on to write books, go on in the media, have started in the fanzine, and that still goes on to this day. There was a lad who had his own YouTube channel called Mr. Nicholson, who's done a lot with you, and he contacted me and asked if he could do a column, and he's now working for a newspaper. So these sort of opportunities that it's brought about, but I think it's just been, hopefully a good laugh for people when they're on their way to the match. And as I said at the start of the piece, it's brilliant to become part of people's match day tradition.
Fantastic to think 30 years ago is when Fly Me started, and it was so long ago, technology wasn't there for them to produce a proper, well-typed, commercially produced edition, because it was all hand-drawn and handwritten. Tremendous.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
As I say, I've never forgotten them, Dave. I've never forgiven him anyway. I had a tenner back in the 80s, I think it was, and I got me Slaving for Scotland t-shirt off them. Fly Me to the Moon says Slaving for Scotland. He played for the Republic about a fortnight later.
Robbie wants his money back, mate. All right.
I've never forgiven him.
A tenner, what would it be worth this day and age? 45 quid, please, Rob. But it is great. There's an exhibition of Fly Me's. I think it's still going on this week at Borough Bookworm and Secret Alien Comics. It's on Wilson Street. You'll see it's got UTB written in pen outside the shop. Sacred Alien Comics. What did I say? Secret? Well, there you go. That's what I know. But it's got lots of Borough stuff in. Kadim's in there and lots of Fly Me to the Moons. Fellas, a couple of minutes left. How many more opportunities the team's going to have to go top of this championship?
Do you?
I mean, Borough have had plenty. We thought we were there until Norwich did the Great Escape last weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And who did it as well?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we won't mention that, lad. No, it's quite open. But I think that's good, in all honesty. You don't want people pulling away at this stage because everybody's battling, but everybody thinks, well, we've got a shot at it. How many times have we gone to Borough match and went, if we win today, we go top, But I think it's good for the league. I enjoy it, you know. So, sometimes we're going about the Premiership and stuff. I enjoy the Championship more because it's more open. There isn't that big gap.
Totally agree.
I'd still rather be promoted and go to the Premier League though. But I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Barry, how frustrating can it be though that you look at that and you think, oh, we can go top today and then we draw?
Yeah, typical Borough, I think, is the phrase that everyone uses. But I wouldn't like to think we were top and running away with it now. I mean, Leeds won it in September, didn't they? You know what I mean? Well, it does them no. They win it in September every year, but it does them no good. You know, the time to peak, the time to get top is April on. You know, around about that time. But as long as we're in there, I think any Borough fan, when we started the season, when that transfer window shut, if they'd have said, look, you'll be coming into December, the Christmas run-up, and you'll be within a point or two of the top, and you'll be sat there, and all the big boys will still be in touching distance, we would have snapped the hands off for it. And I'm quite happy to be where we are now. The one thing I don't like about football now, I think it all comes down to money, but in January, if we do strengthen in the right places...
Please don't mention transfer windows.
Exactly, but... You know, we're thereabouts. We can put the rights to wrong of August, and you know, let's kick on after Christmas and get to the top of the league at the right time.
Well, I'm greedy. I want us to do a Wolves and run away with the league. So there you go, fellas. We're out of time. We'll catch you again. Thanks for coming in. Brilliant stuff.
Thanks
Catch
a lot.
you next week.